Right, welcome everyone. Good to see you and thanks for joining this brief conversation. I am joined by the legendary Mr. Ken Hom, who's in lockdown in Bangkok at the moment. And we are going to be talking about the Ken Hom Scholarship, which is hosted by the Oxford Cultural Collective. Now, Ken, of course, is the godfather of Asian cuisine in the West. He's the man who taught the British how to use a wok. He has written over 40 books on different aspects of Asian cuisine, including his most recent, which is his autobiography. There we are, get it in shot, My Stir-Fried Life. And he is has been the presenter of 5 hugely successful TV series in the UK and around the world. Now, Ken, good to see you. How are you?
I'm fine.
You're in lockdown in Bangkok at the moment, so how are you spending time there?
But the food is good and the ingredients are great to cook with.
Well, that brightens up life, doesn't it? Perfect.
There are worse places to be locked down in.
Exactly, yeah. So you split your time between Thailand and France. You live in...
Yes, in Europe, yes.
Yeah.
In France,
great.
yeah.
Well, we hope to see you back in France soon. Let's talk about the Ken Hom Kum Kee Scholarship, which you've recently set up. Full details are accompanying this recording, so anyone who wants to can access these details. But it's open to students from of any nationality who are studying in Europe, who are studying in the fields of hospitality management or culinary arts or tourism or a related field in that broad area. And the idea is to get them thinking about Asian cuisine and Asian culinary culture. They're being asked to submit a brief, a concise consultancy report that's going to explore challenges facing the Asian restaurant sector in Europe. And the prize for the scholarship is amazing. The 4 winning students are going to be taken on an all expenses paid educational trip to an Asian city. We've yet to decide which one, and that'll happen early in 2021. Now tell me, Ken, very simply, why did you decide to set up the Ken Hom Scholarship?
Well, this is something I always believed in. I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel and to learn. I remember the first time I came to the UK and to France and Italy, how it transformed me. As I only knew about mostly Asian cooking, but actually to go to places like that, you know, food is part of a culture, and when you're actually there experiencing it, it transforms you. And I felt I just learned so much just by absorbing the atmosphere. And there's more to food than just techniques. It's about history. It's about all sorts of things. And also, I want to establish the scholarship as my culinary legacy. In other words, I would like to endow the scholarship with the rights to all my books, so that for my copyright, so that when it's published, the royalties will go to fund the scholarships. And I think so many people have helped me in my journey, that I think it's not only something I want to do, but I think it's a responsibility to give back and to help make this a better world.
Incredible. Now, you've said before that you see yourself first and foremost as an educator. You know, despite us knowing you as a chef, an entrepreneur, and so on, you see your role as being an educator. Is that the case?
Yes, I think it's really important because I started out teaching cooking, and actually that was my road to television. And I think it's not only teaching about techniques and about food, but it's about teaching culture too, and history, and all those things intrigue me. And I love the act of teaching, about sharing all those things too, that a dish doesn't come out of a void. It has a history behind it. And when we learn about that history, also, especially if it's not from our culture, we learn about an. And I think in today's world, we need to come together as one world, as one culture, and we can share and learn together. And this is really my objective.
Fantastic. And obviously that reflects the actual award that the winning students will receive. They'll get this immersive trip to Asia, so they'll be really experiencing not just the food, but the food in context, which, as you say, is so important. We're asking students, we're asking entrants to write a concise consultancy report focused on the challenges faced by the Asian restaurant sector could be the UK or any European city. I mean, obviously, Asian food has been embraced by the UK, by Europe, and it's become a defining part of our culinary culture. I mean, how have you seen attitudes to Asian food change over the last few decades?
Well, I think it's like the world. Before, I think maybe 40 years ago, very few people were traveling or even aware of Asia, and with air travel and also with social media and television and how we're exposed to things. I mean, the world has opened up for young people, I think, in a way that I can imagine when I was their age. I can only read things from books or people telling me things. Mm-hmm. But actually, the fact that you can hop on a plane and be somewhere in 9-10 hours, which is a different world, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. And obviously you've expressed your desire to give back, to encourage young people to expand their understanding of Asian, not only culinary culture, but Asian culture more generally. The context has changed a lot in the last few months for obvious reasons. And young people who are leaving university or making their way in the world face very uncertain times. The hospitality industry is potentially facing a very challenging time ahead for the next year or 2 years. What advice would you give young people who are seeking to make their way in the world of food and hospitality?
Don't panic. Chill out. I mean, listen, the world has always, things happen and not always good. And I think the great thing about what has happened with this crisis is we hope we can learn lessons from it. In other words, it makes me so happy to see chefs like Andrew Wong, who kept on his staff, and he's cooking food and giving it to those who have a hard time and to health workers. And I want people to take, especially young people, to take this challenging times as a lesson, as a good lesson to how can we make the world better? Yes, of course, we need to pay our bills. We need to make money if you have a restaurant and everything like that. But also, we must not forget the people who work there. And it's not only the people who come and dine, but it's your team. And I hope that young people will take this as a lesson to learn how to work together. And hey, let's fight this monster together. Hey, let's not let it get us.
Yeah,
that's the attitude.
It's almost like it's given us an enforced period, an opportunity for contemplation, for reflection about the future that we don't often take in life. I mean, have you gone through that process recently? Are you thinking about how this might affect your own future?
Well, I think it's I'm 71, so but I still have a future, but still, it's very, very different for me. But I also sympathize with people who are in their 20s and 30s, how they're starting out. And, things have never been easy. And so, I said, just buckle up, learn all the positive things and be a better person, and it'd be fantastic. For those who win the scholarship, they can go and whether they go to Hong Kong or to Thailand or wherever here in Asia, to learn, to absorb what's going on here and take those lessons back and make better food and to learn to see how people work together. And I'm very touched to see how people here in Bangkok are sort of, there's a solidarity about, okay, we're all going to do this. We're all going to put on the face mask. We're all going to, everybody does their part. And that's what we need to do.
Yeah, well, that's a very positive message to end on. But just to remind everyone that's watching, the Ken Hom Kum Kee Scholarship details accompany this short recording that we've made. Please do get your entries in, and we will be starting the shortlisting process after the closing date, which is the 30th of June this year. So Ken, huge thanks to you. It's great. And we're looking forward to welcoming you back to Europe soon when you're allowed back on planes.
Okay. I wish everybody good health.
Fantastic. Take care, Ken. Bye-bye.